The oldest son of one of the greatest players to ever touch a basketball, Bronny James has been the talk of the draft this year in college basketball for pretty obvious reasons. Now, obviously LeBron wants to play with his son, but looking currently like that's not going to happen, as if you take a look at his stats, yeah, they sort of speak for themselves. But that's not really the real question we should be asking. A lot of people have been going on videos talking about, oh, is Bronny a college prospect, yada yada yada, but what people really should be asking is, how good is he now, and what kind of potential does he have as an NBA prospect in the next 4 years? A lot of people have had their takes, but what I aim to do is analyze his game so far, and instead of taking his stats and going, yeah, he's cooked, he's averaging 5.5 points a game, give you some examples of players that fared similar their freshman year that have become major contributors in the NBA today, and compare him to some other players who maybe did a little bit better, but still he could grow into being an NBA comp. If you like this kind of content, make sure to like the video and subscribe, as it's a huge help. But first, let's talk about what he did in high school before we start talking about his college career. In high school, Bronny averaged 13.8 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, and 2.7 assists, with 1.8 steals to go along with it. While these might not come off as incredibly impressive compared to guys like Patrick Beverley, who, this is going to sound insane, but I'm not lying, averaged 37 points per game to go along with 6 and 6 and 8 steals his senior season. And, while he didn't have eye-popping numbers like that, anybody who watched his game could see that he definitely had the ability to be a Division I basketball player. His active hands, a great defensive feel for the ball, and showed prowess with both shooting off movement and in catch-and-shoot situations. These are the two main things that can get you onto a collegiate program, and that scouts are looking for in guys who don't really have the flash of the 25 points per game scores. Now, a common criticism of his game is his turnovers do get pretty nasty at times, and his weakness of driving and finishing at the rim. And just like I said that his defense and shooting is good enough to get him playing time in D1, your ability to create space, to finish, and limiting turnovers are the exact type of things NBA scouts look to see if you are able to play at the highest level. Now, to that same extent, college play is a lot more difficult than high school. You're playing in a talent pool that is a lot closer together, with defenders who are taller, faster, and more athletic than you might find at your local high school. Now, reasons like these are why less athletic guards that struggle with finishing tend to struggle even more. Perfect example of this is Bronny James, who's averaging 5.5 points per game, 2.8 rebounds, and 2.5 assists in 19 contests, starting 6 of them. One of his most glaring weaknesses, though, is his ball handling ability and, again, his finishing. In 19 games, he's turned the ball over 21 times to 48 assists, giving him a ratio of 2.28, which is his assist per turnover ratio. Initially, these numbers don't look too bad, as Derek White had an assist to turnover ratio of 1.82, and Mike Conley had a ratio of 2.77. Now, the one problem with this stat, and stats in general, is you can take them out of context and blow them out of proportion. These guys both played over 1,000 minutes in their lone seasons in college, shot over 50% from the field, and averaged over 10 points a game. Derek White had 18.1 points per game, and Conley was an elite point guard who led the Big Ten in assists, steals, and games played, and was also all Big Ten first team. The reason I bring up these two players, though, is because I feel like these two are probably the best comparisons for Bronny in his final form. Mike Conley is 6'1" and stands as probably one of the most underrated point guards of all time. He was an all-star caliber player for most of his career and had the lethal decision-making and ball handling that guards need to survive in the NBA and to thrive in the NBA. Derek White is a slightly different case, as his defensive ability in college was his calling card. He was 6th in the Pac-12, rest in peace, in blocks, 2nd in player efficiency rating, 1st in box plus minus, while leading the Pac-12 in points with 615. Both of these guys knew how to score the basketball at the collegiate level in their first years, and these guys are two players that Bronny should study to further his game and help him improve. And especially because at the high range of 6'2 to 6'4, it's important for players to develop the skill sets of point guards, because in the NBA, the average height is 6'6", meaning that you are not going to be able to out-athlete everybody. especially when you're not particularly the most athletic guy on the court or can get to the lane or get to the rim with ease. In addition, Conley is an elite ball handler at his size, and those kind of skills can help Bronny fix his problems with creating space and also make him more lethal on the court, and especially with his defensive prowess, give him more of a reason to be played and give him sort of that leg up to get into the NBA. Obviously, he would still need to work on his finishing ability too, and after watching through some of his games, I do think that he has the ability to develop into an NBA prospect if he can fix some of these problems. Someone like a Drew Holiday, Derek White, or Mike Conley-esque player at his peak. He has the athleticism to keep up with guards on the perimeter, but just needs to find a consistent shot, as he's shooting a not so good 37% from the field and 27% from the three in around 20 minutes of game time, which in my opinion is maybe a little bit too much. Maybe he should be getting around 15, but I do think that getting him playing time and getting him acclimated to the court is also really important as well. So for that reasons, I do actually think that playing him about 20 minutes is a good thing. You know, in comparison, Westbrook didn't really play that much his freshman year, but his sophomore, and we know what kind of player Westbrook was after, but he didn't really play very much his freshman year, so I don't really think it's an indicator of how good you're going to be. Now, these numbers, like I said, they're not really too terrible. He is a first-year player, and he likely is going to need all 4 years to develop, and his free throw percentage as well of 62.1% also could see some improvement. Some of these can be attributed to the team he's playing on not being the best, but it's still clear to see that he is obviously a ways away from becoming an NBA player. I wouldn't say, though, that we should be, worried or blowing it out of proportion because it is his freshman season, because Alex Caruso actually averaged nearly identical stats his freshman year, putting up 5.5 points per game on 37% shooting, sounds like deja vu, 3.2 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 1.8 steals, and 2.3 turnovers in about 25 minutes a game. And now we know that he is one of the most valuable players in the league trade-wise, as the Bulls pretty much won't give him up for anything if it's not 3 to 4 first-round picks. Overall, though, I do think that Bronny has the potential to be a future NBA player and potentially one of those elite contributors on a championship team that all championship teams need. Obviously, though, it does depend on what his offseason look like and what improvements that he can make in the future to basically fix all of his problems. If you do like this kind of content, though, if you do like these sort of player breakdowns, because I would love to see Bronny in the league play with his dad, but I also think that a lot more players need to get into the habit of playing 2 to 3 years to fully develop their game instead of just going off to the league after the first year. It's a small percentage of players that can really make it, but a lot of players, a lot like in the NFL, where a lot of first-year quarterbacks would benefit sitting behind an elite quarterback or sitting behind a pro who's been in the league for a couple of years. I do think that Bronny could contribute a lot more in his 3rd or 4th year to an NBA roster than he can now. If you like the content, though, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Again, it helps a lot, especially liking the video. Trying to get on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I'm about halfway there. It's my goal this year. So thank you guys for watching my videos. Thank you guys for liking my content, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.